We now have a coronavirus vaccine. All the companies that were most hurt by this pandemic are once again on the rise. Airline stocks, oil stocks and bank stocks are selling. Investors are buying it once again. And on the same hand, companies that were doing more business because of the pandemic like Amazon, Netflix and Peloton are going on a little bit on the opposite direction. We still have a bumpy road ahead of us. The vaccine to be transported is require a deep freeze temperature that regular freezers cannot provide. So the companies that manufacture these deep freeze temperature freezers are seeing their shares on the rise. This is what I found at the Fool.com, the monthly Fool. Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine data is better than meets the eye. The probable winner of the vaccine race demonstrated that its candidate is at least 90% effective at preventing COVID-19 infection. 90% is more than I ever expected. A regular flu vaccine is just 40% to 6% effective, and you have to retake that vaccine every year. For this vaccine to work, please drop a like, and if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell. As of Tuesday, there have been more than 50.9 million confirmed cases of the novel coronavirus worldwide and 1.26 million deaths in the US alone. Researchers estimate that the total economic impact, healthcare costs, lost productivity from lockdowns and quarantines, travel disruptions, etc. of the rampant spread of the SARS-CoV-2 virus will likely reach $16 trillion, and the pain won't end in 2020. The Congressional Budget Office projects a total of $7.6 trillion in lost output over the next decade, meaning either more treasury offerings, austerity measures, higher taxes, or all three will be needed to make up for the budget deficit. Luckily, Pfizer and BioNTech have developed a COVID-19 vaccine candidate to help put an end to the pandemic. BTN-16-2B2 is currently the only experimental vaccine that has demonstrated efficacy in large-scale studies, and it could become the first candidate authorized for use by regulatory agencies around the world. But just how good is the vaccine data, and why does it matter to current or prospective investors in either company? Since the beginning of the pandemic, in March, everything dropped, but after that, once you get more COVID cases, your tech stocks go up. And once you get less COVID cases, your tech stocks go down and everything else goes up. What do you think about all these news? Drop your comments and ideas in the comment section down below. Phase 3 trial results. Pfizer and BioNTech announced interim results from their Phase 3 trial on November 9. The global Phase 3 trial involved 43,538 participants whose geographical location put them at high risk of acquiring COVID-19. During the study, participants were assigned to receive either 2 doses of BTN-16-2B2 or a placebo. After enough members of the trial became infected with the virus, researchers compared the rate of COVID-19 infection between the two groups. The trial's first interim analysis indicates that after 94 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the overall study, the vaccine was at least 90% effective in preventing a viral infection 28 days after initiating the 2-dose schedule. In other words, the overwhelming majority of confirmed illnesses came from the placebo group. No serious safety issues were reported. The two companies are waiting for until at least the 3rd week of November for safety data before requesting emergency use authorization from the US Food and Drug Administration (FDA). What do these results mean for investors? The study protocol conveys that if BNT-16-2B2 demonstrates at least 80% efficacy at the current analysis stage, the p-value for the vaccine data must be less than 0.037. The p-value is a statistical measurement that must generally be less than 0.05 for a finding to have significance. Since we know that BTN-16-2B2 demonstrated more than 90% efficacy, the p-value for the result is likely to be far less than 0.037, meaning the candidate likely achieved robust statistical significance. Keep in mind that the FDA only requires coronavirus vaccine to achieve 50% efficacy for approval. As a result of these above and beyond results, it's more than likely that the study will be successful at the final stage of analysis and the treatment will receive an EUA from the FDA with an efficacy level this high. Pfizer and BioNTech's candidates set a high competitive bar for its competitors, including those from Moderna, AstraZeneca, and Novavax. Oh my god, I had not thought about this yet. This vaccine is 90% effective and we have another 10 or 9 vaccines coming up, almost being ready. But once all those vaccines are ready, who would take a vaccine that is 50% effective when we already have the first candidate being 90% effective? I would prefer to take a 90% effective one. Folks, hear this. Since the study took place in an open environment, one could deduct the viral mutations did not materially affect vaccine efficiency. Patients were exposed to the currently circulating strains of the virus rather than being kept in a closed space away from any potential mutations. If true, that's wonderful news, as it would mitigate or eliminate a key concern about the coronavirus, that ongoing mutations would render ineffective the experimental vaccines based on earlier variants of the virus. Another critical detail, 42% of the trial participants came from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds, generating efficacy data from across all population groups, increases Pfizer's and BioNTech's ability to generate revenue as well as immunity internationally, rather than in just one specific part of the world. This is amazing news. The study happened between different racial people backgrounds, different ethnic groups. Not just that, but we know that the virus keeps on mutating and changing. And these people were exposed to all those mutations, and the vaccine was still 90% effective. Edge of the finish line. By the end of 2021, Pfizer and BioNTech expect to produce 1.3 billion doses of BNT162b2. That is, theoretically speaking, enough for 650 million people. The US population is about 326 million people. Getting the doses to those millions of people, however, might be the biggest challenge. More than half of the world's vaccines go to waste due to logistical or transport issues, according to the World Health Organization, who, given the price of $20 per dose, Pfizer and BioNTech have the potential to generate $26 billion worth of sales from BNT162b2 next year. The two companies will share their gross profits equally through their agreement. While this isn't news to investors, the probability of attaining that revenue figure has increased significantly. After this data announcement, $13 billion would be a pretty significant opportunity for BioNTech, which is currently in the development stage and has no product revenue. But it would also be meaningful for large cap Pfizer, which is seeing generic competition ramp up for its key products, sending its revenue down 4% year over year to $12.1 billion in quarter 3 2020. This is very important news. It is saying that regular vaccines already always go to waste. Imagine this new COVID vaccine, great, it's 90% effective, but it does require a specific temperature, a specific very cold temperature to be kept. It makes sense. The companies that manufacture these deep freezers sales are on the high. They will be on high demand. For the two companies have secured more than 573 million BTN162b2 pre-orders from 13 countries and the European Union, as well as options to supply an additional 600 million doses of the vaccine. I highly recommend that biotech investors consider shares of Pfizer and BioNTech, as they likely begin to deliver on those orders, as well as securing further supply agreements with other countries on the basis of their superb vaccine science. This is great news, but I don't know. I think it's still going to be a couple months until me and you, regular people, can get this vaccine. The first doses will probably go for first responders like doctors, and then there's a great probability that the next people allowed to take the vaccine could be high-risk people, people with very compromised immune system. That's the way to save the most lives. We have 8 billion people in the world. How do you get 8 billion vaccines out there? I know it's not needed 8 billion. You just 60% of once 60% of the population is immune, we have more something like a herd immunity. You can't transfer the virus because there's not enough people to give the virus to. But 8 billion people is a lot of people. We still need a lot of vaccines. And from what I understand so far, to be most effective, it's require a second dose. And we already know that some people that caught the virus earlier, about 4 or 5 months later, they caught the virus again. So I don't know, so maybe after you catch the second time and then you're completely immune, not everybody will need vaccines because a lot of people already caught the virus. There are so many unknowns. Make sure to leave your comments and ideas in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to check out some of the other videos coming up on the next screen. Have a wonderful day.